No pros being allowed in the Sun Belt. Locked on Sun Belt.
You are Locked On Sun Belt, your daily podcast on the Sun Belt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sun Belt, your teams every day. All right, Sunbelt posted a new video. Haven't been many of those, but they did, and they're getting a lot of good comments on it. All right. Cajuns rename the Tigue or include and rename it to Tony Robichaux Park. Well-deserved. And we start out with no pros in the Sunbelt. Probably should mention, College AD reported this a few days ago. Sources, Sunbelt won't allow athletes who have professionalized themselves to compete. Is that now a word, professionalized? By the way, Trent Hedrick, who only got a tryout, never actually signed a professional contract per se, is being allowed to play for his guy Bob Chesney at UCLA as of right now. These things, to say the least, are fluid at the least. All right. College AD continues, institutions should exercise caution when relying on temporary court relief, which is a TRO, right? And student athletes who have professionalized themselves cannot participate. Okay. I haven't seen any penalties per se from the Sun Belt, like the Big Ten and the SEC, who are very clear that they're going to hit them in the pocketbook. Like, you're going to get half a revenue fine and you will not be able to vote on conference proceedings moving forward for, I think, a year. All right. So the Sun Belt came out and did that. Now everybody has done that. All right. From the SEC and the Big Ten, they were kind of leading the way, although before that was the Patriot League. We've been through that. The Big 12 has done it, and now the ACC has done it. All right. Having said that, don't think it's going away. All right. And apparently, of course, because it's the kind of state that it is, the governor of Louisiana is getting in on it. All right. Now, there is some legitimacy to, I believe, the 30 players that sued in Louisiana. Like, they didn't have a chance to go 5 years, 5 for 5, 5 years of eligibility. Because they didn't know about this until it was too late. This thing wasn't done until June, and they had already gone pro, whether it be basketball, football, baseball, softball, whatever the case may be. And so these student athletes actually have a pretty legitimate case that the rules changed before they could make an informed decision. Or had not changed yet. And so these kids, these former college athletes, want to come back. All right, we'll see if they will. And when I say, it's in Louisiana, well, apparently Lane Kiffin was behind the idea, and LSU was behind the idea to sue. They cleared that hurdle because they got eligibility, but now it's going to be against the SEC. Let's see how that works out. Watching Matt Moscona on Locked On Sunbelt. He's in the center of all this. Well, not Matt is, but LSU is, and he has got it well covered. Whereas we told you that it wasn't exactly unanimous when La Tech joined, but it came out that way. That's the way this was with the SEC. The SEC said they were 15-0 as LSU, I believe, abstained. At one point in time, I think they were 16-0, but how's that possible when LSU is, going for this? But according to Matt and Locked On LSU, it was more 50-50-ish. It wasn't exactly unanimous. And so we'll see. And it might not be settled here in the next week or so. Well, college football is getting underway tomorrow, right? We got Carolina and TCU playing in Ireland for some reason. But it is starting Saturday. You got FCS football, I think, playing on Thursday. So the season is about getting underway, but most of college football kicks off next weekend. So you do have a little time to get things done, but it may not get done. You know, the court system, as we know, does not move nearly as quickly as college football would like or sports would like. So these things may not get done for a couple of weeks. They may not miss that many ball games, 1 or 2, before this gets done. And again, it may be interesting to see what happens between the court and right now the SEC. Not so much the Sun Belt, but I don't even know if this is happening in other conferences. But it's going to probably happen in the SEC, where is LSU going to roll the dice? I can't imagine they would, because it's just not, it ain't worth it. Trying to prove a point, but I don't think it's worth it. That you could forfeit games, be a hefty fine, and your school can't play or your school can't vote in conference proceedings. But that's what we're going to get. We're going to get a lawsuit, one would think, between the players versus the SEC. And the result of that is going to affect everybody else. Like, if you don't think that, is it the quarterback, Pat McQuaid of Villanova, is looking at this as well. Because that all started with the Patriot League saying, no, we're superseding the court and we're superseding the NCAA. You're not eligible to play. And if you do play, we're going to forfeit. So I can't imagine the coaches or the ADs and the administrators, the school presidents, allowing the coaches to run roughshod over the conference just to prove a point. That they're going to say, you need to wait until this is a little bit more cleared up, I would think. And so we'll see how this affects. That court case is, again, going to affect everything else. And we will see if it opens up the doors for people to come back to the Sun Belt, because that's what we need. We need precedent. And right now we got too many courts, too many cases, too many rulings, right? Everyone goes to their hometown judge, like LSU did, right? Trinidad Chambliss did. Texas Tech did, right? It didn't end well for them, but that's what we're doing. We're going to find the hometown judge, and they're going to rule in favor of the hometown school. Because, of course. But we'll see if anybody else starts to bring this up. The Big Ten, the Big 12, the ACC. So far, we haven't had that yet. But they may be allowing LSU and the SEC to lead the way to see where this all ends up. As of right now, no pros are being allowed in the Sun Belt. I don't know how many pros are trying to come back to the Sun Belt, but you know, they didn't make that announcement. College AD reported that. I went to look on the Sun Belt's front page. They don't have it. They usually put every news item on there. They usually put something on their Twitter feed, right? They're previewing the football season and talking soccer right now, which is exactly what they should be doing. But they don't have this mentioned anywhere else. So College AD, as far as I know, is the only place that has reported that the Sun Belt is not allowing pros in. That may shift depending on how this lawsuit goes between it's not LSU suing, it's the players suing the SEC, if it comes to that. No. But right now, no pros being allowed in the Sun Belt. All right. We'll come back and we'll talk about changing the name of ballpark, or adding his name to the ballpark where he coached so beautifully and deservedly so gets his name on the stadium. We'll talk about that when we come back. After I tell you, we got some new sponsors, Larinco, Wayfair, and of course, Poncho. Larinco is known for its enamel supporting gum, but now they're launching a nicotine-free pouch. Larinco pouches are designed to provide clean focus while supporting enamel at the same time. Each pouch contains 50 milligrams of caffeine plus L-theanine and alpha GPC for smooth, steady focus without an energy crash. And because it's a Loreen product, every pouch also contains nanohydroxyapatite, the mineral teeth are made of, to provide daily enamel support between brushings. Loreen Co. pouches are pouches that swap out the nicotine and give you a clean focus and support for your enamel the whole time they're in. They come in mint, cinnamon, and mango, making it easy to find a flavor that fits into any daily routine. Give Loreen a try today. Right now, Loreen Co. is offering our listeners up to 50% off at buyloreen.com/lockedoncollege. That's buyloreen, BUYLARINE.com/lockedon for up to 50% off. And Wayfair. Support today's episode comes from Wayfair. Whether you're refreshing one room, getting ready for a new season, or finally replacing that piece of furniture you've been putting off, Wayfair makes it easy to find something that fits your home, your style, and your budget. You can shop furniture and decor across a wide range of price points with quality materials and pieces designed to stand up to real life. And with Wayfair Verified, product specialists hand vet select products through a 10-point quality inspection, looking at things like materials, functionality, features, and even how long they take to build. And if you're still trying to narrow it down what to buy, Wayfair gives you plenty of real shopper feedback to work with. You can browse more than 20 million verified 5-star reviews, along with real customer photos and feedback to help you shop with confidence. And I'll tell you, again, you can't see it that much, but those shelves back there, all right, and the desk that I'm working on, they're from Wayfair. And I put it together. And I'm telling you right now, you guys have heard me say it before. If I can put it together, you guys can put it together. Join Wayfair Rewards today to get 5% back on every purchase and start saving on your next home upgrade. Head to wayfair.com to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, this has been a long time coming. Tony Robichaux, who I considered a friend, love talking baseball with him, passed away in 2019. And the University of Louisiana Board of Supervisors, I believe on Thursday, officially renamed the baseball stadium that the Cajuns play in, which is affectionately known as the Tigue. And I didn't know who ML Tigue was. He didn't really have anything to do with the university. He just promoted baseball in the Acadiana area forever. And they honored him, calling it ML Tigue Field. This is now going to be called Tony Robichaux Park. And don't think it's not going to take long before we start calling we're heading into the Robe. All right. Although that may not sound great. We maybe come up with something different. And we forgot to put on the lid. All right. There you go. All right. I got one of those hats. Thanking my guys back in Louisiana for getting me this when it came out a few years ago. All right. I have not worn it yet. You can see that pretty much flat brim, and we're going to keep it flat brim. I don't think that's the way he wore it, but that's the way I'm going to keep it for right now. And he obviously deserves it. He was one of the leading voices in baseball when it comes to, how things are supposed to be done in the Sun Belt. I've said this before. We don't talk about it a whole lot, but he's the reason. He was a very religious man. He's the reason the Sun Belt doesn't play baseball on Easter Sunday. He despised that. He's like, that's the day for the family. All right. Even though you get the family after the game or before the game, whatever. I don't like playing Easter Sunday. They don't play on Easter Sunday anymore in the Sun Belt. That's because of Tony Robichaux. That's the kind of power and leadership that he showed. So they play a Thursday, Friday, Saturday that weekend. All right. And someone's got to travel. That's the way that's going to be. But he doesn't. He got that done whenever that got done. All right. So that's the kind of pull that he had. And there's a viral video. I guess I posted it, and was after one of their losses could have been Arizona. Could have been the Arizona regional loss. And, he says, I don't think when I get to the pearly gates, they're going to ask me, if I hit the cutoff man type of deal. Right. And so that's a pretty good lesson. Right. My job as a baseball coach, it's not who I am. Right. I'm a husband, a father, a teacher, in this case, a baseball coach. And he was so good, because when he did argue with the umpires, and he did get hot, and that happened every once in a while, but it didn't happen very often. You knew one of two things. He was either frustrated with the way his team was playing, or he was super frustrated with the officiating, because he just didn't go off all that long. And I wouldn't be surprised if the umpires in the Sun Belt gave him a little bit of a longer rope to use, and then his frustration before they threw him out. He did get thrown out every now and then, but it didn't happen very often. But he was just a great man, and really sad that he's not with us today, because, I think his coaching career was winding down. I think at least at the Cajuns level, I think he wanted to get the Cajuns back to the NCAA tournament one more time. It would have taken a little bit, because they didn't play in 20. They may have won. Did they win the conference tournament in 21? That may have been South Alabama. But Diggs wanted in there, but it may have taken a minute. But he wanted to be a roving pitching instructor in the minor leagues. That's what he wanted to do. I don't think he wanted to be a pitching coach per se in the minors. He wanted to be a roving pitching instructor. For those who don't know, every minor league baseball team has a pitching coach, but then somebody comes in usually twice a year, maybe 3 times a year, and they kind of report back. They may make slight adjustments on the pitchers, and certainly they're checking out the top prospects to see where they're going and how they're doing, and they can report back to the director of player personnel or the director of minor leagues, or the general manager of the team. But I think that's what he wanted to do. He also probably wanted to write a book about how to coach baseball, because he did not like the way things were going with the way people were teaching baseball. But congratulations to the Cajuns, to the Robichaux family. 2 boys are coaching against each other, which is a classic. So we appreciate that. But the Cajuns and Tony Robichaux, right thing being done by the Cajuns, naming it now. I think it's Tigue Moore Field, or Tony Robichaux Park at Tigue Moore Field, or Tigue Moore Field at Tony Robichaux Park, one or the other. Still will probably always be known as the Tigue, but that Tony Robichaux's name is going to be on the park is pretty cool. It's very cool. All right. Let's talk about the Sun Belt. Here comes the Sun Belt. Are they getting better? Tough to surpass what happened last year without winning a college football playoff game, but here comes the Sun Belt. Let's talk about that. We'll do that right after I do tell you about 5 Hour Energy and Poncho. Have you got a sweet tooth like I do? And boy, do I got one. You know how tough it is to find that perfect treat without all of the sugar. That's why Cotton Candy 5 Hour Energy Shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. That is a classic cotton candy taste you remember, but with a tasty caffeine boost and 0 sugar. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. I've always loved cotton candy, but I can't be eating sweets all day. This is the perfect alternative. The flavor really does bring that throwback fruity vanilla vibe, and it's surprisingly smooth taste. I like how convenient it is. It's just a small portable shot that I can grab whenever I need a little pick-me-up. It's become my go-to when I want something sweet without going overboard. Bring on the sweetness with Cotton Candy 5-Hour Energy Shots, available online now at 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. And Poncho. Let me tell you about Poncho. If you're like me and you basically live in your game day gear during football season, you're going to want to check out Poncho's new game day collection. It's one of those things where it's a performance shirt, but it doesn't look like a performance shirt. Looks clean, sharp, and like something you'd actually want to wear all day. Plus, you get to rep your team in style. And the best part is it's built for real life. Super lightweight, breathable, and comfortable enough that you can throw it on for a full day of tailgating, sitting in a stadium, or just hanging out watching the game with friends without ever feeling like you need to change. And what I really like is you're not stuck with one size fits all in a situation either. You can dial it in with regular, slim, or tall, plus short and long sleeves. And if you grabbed your shirt between August 2nd and the 7th of September, you're covered by Poncho's Natty Back Guarantee. If your team wins the football national championship, Poncho will give you a full refund on your purchase, plus you keep the shirt. You guys have seen me in that shirt. It's a very sharp, deep purple JMU shirt. Love it. But I also saw one that didn't have a logo on it. All right. He took a tour. We're actually, ironically enough, talking about the Sunbelt podcast, and he's wearing Poncho. And he says he loved the shirt. He does have a closet full of them. Go to ponchooutdoors.com/lockedon and enter your email to get $10 off and free shipping on your first order. That's PONCHO outdoors.com/lockedon. Head there, drop in your email, and get $10 off and free shipping. And once you try one, you'll be like the person who took a tour. You'll get a closet full. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. You guys know how I feel about the Sunbelt. I love it. I think this is going to be a great season. I do. I think this is going to be a fabulous season. It would certainly help out the podcast if someone wants to get a Power 4 win. Troy, Coastal Carolina, Marshall, Cajuns, Old Dominion early on. All right. Maybe South Alabama. But we also have that constructive criticism where we don't think they're doing enough to promote themselves. And it does cost money. I get it that, they should have a weekly show. You can do a Sunbelt game day. You can do a post-game show. That's once a week, right? You can have a show once a week. You have the football once a week. And then in basketball season, for the championship, you could do game day for basketball for Sunbelt on Saturdays, right? You don't have to do it every night throughout the year, but you can just do it on Saturdays. That's pretty good. And then have it for the Sunbelt Championship. You have the studio hosts, and then they're out at the arena in Pensacola. And then same thing for baseball. You have studio hosts. We want some investment in the Sunbelt, right? There doesn't seem to be a lack of money going around to be able to get this done. Having said that, they put together a fabulous 30-second promotional video. And this is one of those things where you're going to have to watch it. I can describe it. It's a map video. The sun is rising. It's a map video. And they just point out all the teams in the Sunbelt. I'm going to play it for you. You can find it on social media. That's for sure. All right, that's a spectacular video. All right, really well done. I'm not saying anything. There's no spoken word, just a uplifting song. You could have, I don't know how much it would have cost to get the Beatles song in there, but probably would have a pretty penny. All right. And they just point out all the stadium. They do the logo of the team and the stadium, and they go around and pointing out to where all the teams are. They had to come up with a new one because they had to add La Tech, and they remove Texas State. So no more Texas in the Sun Belt. All right. But what people are seeing, all right, is the opposite of what everybody else has done. The SEC bringing in Texas and Oklahoma. The Big Ten bringing in Oregon, USC, and UCLA and Washington. That they're splintered off. And, you got all these crazy, Rutgers is playing UCLA. What is that? Those two things don't have anything to do with each other. And you got coaches complaining, although they're pocketing millions of dollars. Well, we got to go across the country. Oh, well, not in the Sun Belt. Now, some of these places are not as easy to get to as others, right? Lovely Boo, North Carolina is not that easy to get to. Old Dominion is easy to get to, right? That's a major metropolitan area, all right? I don't think Statesboro is that easy to get to, but other places are not easy to get to, right? App State may be the most difficult. I think Harrisonburg has an airport. Driving there was not easy. We'll have to take some extra oxygen with me next time. Anyways, that's a great video. And again, what people are saying is all of those teams that are fractured across the country, not the Sun Belt. And a couple of people should post the tweets, but I'll just read them to you. Let's see here. It was Andy Staples who really pumped up. That's the one I saw, but he quote tweeted somebody else. Andy Staples quote tweeted Tom Fornelli. Andy Staples said, and he's from On3, I've told everyone who would listen that a documentary series on the Sun Belt season would be incredible. The schools would give ultimate access and the stories would be incredible. You drop it on a streamer in May or June and it would hit like crack. All right. Well, we don't maybe need that reference. All right. I don't want to play the sound here. All right. I don't want the sound coming up. All right. And this is Tom Fornelli. He is with the Cover 3 podcast. Always room for another map commercial. I've maintained for a few years now, if you're constantly complaining, that's not what he says, but sort of, about how conference realignment, TV, and the Big Ten and SEC have ruined the sport, and we need to get back to regionality, then your ass better be watching the Sun Belt this fall. It's the most old school conference we have. It's regional, and it picks new teams for football reasons, not revenue reasons. That thing got over, that almost is approaching 200,000 views. And the video comes from the Sun Belt YouTube page. And the Sun Belt's got a chance to make a real splash early on in the season. I know that's a lot of pressure. I mean, the Cajuns going to USC is a little rough. A lot of people think Penn State's going to be really, really good. So that may not be easy for Marshall. We'll see what Troy can do against Missouri. We'll see what ODU can do against Vatech, Coastal Carolina against West Virginia. There are some opportunities out there. Houston's coming to Georgia Southern. There are some opportunities out there for the Sun Belt to make a big splash. And if you promote it right on a regular basis, shouldn't we at least get, it doesn't have to be 10 minutes, but videos can be 3 minutes long on social media. All right. I know everyone wants to do the 20-second or 30-second video, but especially early on in the season. And I know this because you got to do 14 games. Everyone's playing. They're not playing each other. During the conference, it's 7 ball games. But you got to recap 14 ball games. So that's why our recapping is probably going to take 3 days. Because I only get a half an hour. But you can put video highlights of all the games. You can do that. It doesn't have to be 30 seconds. We don't have to show off our editing skills. You can make it a 3-minute video and do highlights of the Sun Belt and feed it to all the Sun Belt markets, all the schools. They can put it on their shows, whatever that is, right? Get in touch with all the other, radio stations and that have websites and YouTube pages and stuff like that. There are ways to promote the Sun Belt that the Sun Belt needs to take advantage of that doesn't necessarily cost money. So that's what I would do. but we'll see if they do it. All right. We got another week. Georgia State and NCAA, North Carolina A&T open up a week from tonight. And it's an odd time, 6 p.m. on a Friday, but in downtown Atlanta. But that's good for me because I'll be home to watch it. And we'll probably do a live recap. And we'll try to do that on Saturday as well. We'll figure that out, what game is ending on that Saturday. I haven't looked that far ahead what those times are, but we will, and see if there is a game ending, around 9-ish that we can sneak into bed close to 10 because I've got to go up and get to work the next day. All right. Thanks again for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Had a good day, and we're starting to pick up a little bit. All right. I'm starting to promote the videos. So it's seeing a wider audience. We are getting a few more subscribers. All right. We're still going to be, we're getting close to 3160. We're still about 44 short of our goal of 3,200, but I hope you would help me out with that. And don't forget about those audio podcasts as well on Apple and Spotify. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great weekend. As college football season is kicking off this weekend, we'll all be watching. That's for sure. All right. We'll talk to you again on Monday. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a great weekend, everybody.